Hi, my name is Chase Heiser. I'm going to be covering a study done on the correlation between women smoking cigarettes and childhood maltreatment with self-reported IPV. Um, and IPV is intimate partner violence. So this study examines the association between exposure to different forms of childhood maltreatment, exposure to physical, psychological, and sexual IPV, and current psychological distress symptoms with cigarette smoking. So, for content methods, data was collected by 162 women who have self reported IPV to the police. Step one included age, so just like it just asked them how old they were. Step two added the different types of like childhood maltreatment that they experienced. So this would be emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, um, physical neglect, emotional neglect, and exposure to domestic violence. And step three adds the exposure to different types of IPV, intimate partner violence. So these different types could be physical, psychological, or sexual violence. And finally, for the last step, step four, they added in anxiety, depression, somatic, and post traumatic stress symptoms. So, for these content results, the study examined the exposure. The study examined the association between exposure to childhood maltreatment, IPV, and psychological distress. So with their model, when all these dimensions, everybody's answers were put in, and all the dimensions were included, their findings indicated that exposure to IPV, so physical abuse during childhood, and psychological IPV and anxiety symptoms have the strongest association with daily cigarette smoking. Um, this supports their hypothesis, which was individuals facing multiple risk factors are more likely to experience negative outcomes. So it was supported. Um, and in this study, they viewed women smoking, or anybody, not just women, but anybody, they view smoking cigarettes as an unhealthy coping method. Um, but no, their hypothesis was supported. So for the content discussion, exposure to these traumas may increase the vulnerability for emotion dysregulation across development. This can promote unhealthy behaviors to regulate their stress, and this is why they're asking about smoking cigarettes because they think it's unhealthy. They don't like it, so they're trying to see what causes that. Um, but some limitations they ran into was that they could not find out how often some of these subjects were exposed to childhood maltreatment. So that could have changed some of their answers a little if children were exposed to child abuse for longer. It could have given them some different answers. And because the qualifications to be a part of this study were so specific, they couldn't establish simple relationships such as smoking and anxiety because there's so many moving parts, so many different things. Um, but no, I thought it was a really interesting study. But I thought that there's obvious correlations that I felt didn't need to be made or tested just because I feel like some of this stuff could be easily inferred or assumed. But I also thought the criteria for being a part of this test, this research, was a little too like narrow and specific. So I almost felt like they were doing this test with the sole purpose of getting an answer they wanted, not an answer that they just found. So I felt that they tailored it a lot to get a specific answer.